Hello guys, I've decided to make another video regarding my current build. It will be the continuation from my previous build guide, but now I managed to min-max this build because I was able to clear 161 seasonal mission, which is at the moment the highest level that you can clear in this game. So that means that I managed to beat the game with this build. So let me show you what is the difference from the previous build and what changes did I pick up. We will start this build guide with gear showcase because I did a lot of changes here. So let me show you what did I change and with what did I keep the same, of course. Enraged token on critical hit, which will allow us to enter enraged state. Shocking aura when in enraged state. These two syncs pretty well. Main input of boiling. This one is still a crucial part of this build because of the minus 47 hit cost for weapons, which will allow us to constantly cast our abilities, which is crucial when we fight 161 boss. This is also a new part of this build. A lot of resistances, a lot of damage reduction, and the 10% critical hit strength against slow, shocked, and stun enemies. Considering that our enemies are always slow, shocked, or stunned, we always have a 10% critical hit strength, which will be permanent. This is also a new part, 37 suppression damage bonus in enraged state. Consider that you're always in enraged state, we will always have a 37 suppression damage bonus. And Purity Seal of Trauma. Thanks to this, alongside Burn, will now inflict bleeding on critical hit, which syncs pretty well with Toxin Synergy. Considering that we have Burn and Bleed, applied to enemies we will have permanent 30% damage increase, and bleeding enemies are slowed as well. And this one is also pretty huge upgrade because it gives us 200 damage percent and 200 damage percent, which is basically 400 damage percent for 10 seconds because we have 29 nuclear effect rotation and 40 critical hit strength, which syncs pretty well with this one, which is like 50% critical hit, and with this one 5 crit critical strength to area effects, which is like 55 plus 63, that is like 118, which will allow us to hit the 116 mark, which will allow us to apply 100% strong dots, and our critical will deal 300% damage increase. So yeah, pretty big upgrades compared to previous build that I posted, which I will of course link in description. Weapons stay the same. I also managed to get this one, which is like pretty huge, and 40 damage bonus and 10 chance to stun against slow and shocked enemies. Considering that our enemy is always slow and shocked, we will have permanent 40% damage bonus. So yeah, let me show my skills now. Compared to previous build guide, everything stayed the same. Ardent Onslaught, Fiery Hit, Sweep, Tactical Jump. So yeah, the same core idea stayed the same. We want to jump in, pull everyone and burst them down. We also have into Sacred Eyes Burning Devotion, which syncs pretty well overall with the build because we fight in close range. So Burning Aura is pretty solid option here. And yeah, regarding my attributes, let me show you that. Of course, into attributes we want to invest some points into Contempt to get increased base damage. Into Resolve, but which is like not that important, but yeah. Into Resolve we want to aim for Shield Drain, and into Passion we want to aim for Potency to get the rotation, to get 75 the rotation increase to Yellow Booster, which already syncs pretty well with 29 nuclear effect rotation. So we get like 11-12 seconds to 11 to 12 seconds 400 damage increase and 40 critical hit strength, which I already show into gear section. So yeah, it's pretty huge. Into perks, I did quite a few changes here compared to previous build. Instead of heavily investing into dots, I decided to change that and to invest purely into damage bonus increases. So I went with Burning Piety, which gives us 60% damage bonus on when we use Act of Fate skill, and grants us 10% Fate, which syncs pretty well with this one. When we have maximum Fate, we get 75 damage bonus increase. Which will allow us, this will allow us to get Fate pretty fast, so we will stack this out pretty fast, which will allow us to get overall 135 damage increase, which is like pretty huge. Into defensive stats, we want to max everything out. I already have suppression damage reduction out when I cast my Infernal Ages, and I also have it with this one, so yeah, that one is already maxed out. Warp, hit, physical resistances. critical hit chance is 46, critical hit strength is also maxed out with when I use Inquisitor. I already showed that in gear section. Damage bonus against slow, shock and stun enemies. Burn dot damage and bleed dot damage is also there. One more thing before we finish. I also forgot to mention this build is pretty capable of speedrunning content, like speedrunning One Crusade and so on. And if you decide to do that, you can you need to swap out perks to get movement speed and Call the Weak, which will basically allow us to inflict 50% damage bonus against enemies affected by debuffs. Because we're running content so fast, we will not have time to accumulate fate, so we'll just pick this one to have permanent 50% damage bonus instead of waiting fate, because we will already be done with the mission before we accumulate fate to get 75% bonus from Fate and Fury. So yeah, 58% movement speed, and that is not like some big movement speed increase, but it's sufficient enough to speedrun the War Crusades. Everything into damage over time, into area effect, into debuffs, into critical hits. So as you can see, if you checked my previous video, most of it stayed the same. So I did little changes, but the core build stayed the same. I didn't touch anything here. So hit, Acts of Fate, movement speed, defense, and Puritan. The only thing that I changed, I remove everything from health tree, because I don't need field surgery anymore to have instant inoculator when I need it, because I'm much harder to kill now. Instead of those four points, I invested one into here because I'm applying now bleed, so my enemies are always slowed. I invested 2 into movement speed because I'm using one-handed weapon, so I always have 5% movement speed like permanently, and I invested 1 into Puritan to get Holy Conclave because I was doing some multiplayer missions, but this one is flexible, so you can invest in whatever you want. And that's pretty much it. Before I finish, I forgot about something in the gear section. I forgot to speak out about Flamer. This is pretty important part of this build because this weapon will help us kill every boss on 161 level. It applies these two abilities, deals high suppression damage, and are pretty crucial. The Scorcher and the Splash, those two syncs pretty well with minus 47 hit cost for weapon, which allow us to cast those two abilities non-stop. I'm gonna wrap up this video. I think I covered everything that is important from this build: perks, gear, attributes, and so on. And finally, I'm going to include 161 clear, so you can guys watch it and see this build in action finally. And yeah, thank you for watching this video. Like, share, and subscribe, of course. See you. Peace.